Okay, so this is about normal horseshoeing. So, obviously this isn't for horses that are sick or have an issue. So, we're obviously going to be talking about horseshoes, nails, studs, just the tools you use, stages of shoeing. So, we'll talk more about this. So, you have to inspect the horse to see what the problem is and what to fix. So, say like if the heels are too high, we want to make them lower. We want to prepare the horse for shoeing, so removing the dirt. You want to explore the old horseshoe because sometimes the old horseshoe as well, it could be worn in certain places because of where the weight's distributed. Prepare the hoof. So again, you've removed the shoe now you want to clean what's underneath, and not only that, trim and take measures and choosing the correct horseshoe. Prepare the new horseshoe, so you might see like heating as well to like shape it properly, nailing obviously the new shoe, and just assessing the horse to see if it's fine. So why do we do this? To prevent trauma to the foot and underlying tissues. We want to give the hoof a proper shape, because then if it doesn't have a proper shape, it leads to these issues. Securely stepping on the ground on a variety of terrains, and it's just caring for hooves generally, like you just should do it. And yeah, especially if you do it in young animals, it helps to shape and develop them properly. So we even talk about deformities like valgus and varus, and how important shoeing is for that, like really important. If we don't do it in those foals, then they actually have deformities for the rest of their lives. So each shoe is distinguished by two arms, which we call branches, the outer with outer and inner surfaces. And you have upper undulates and lower stepped two edges. So these are the upper undulates and these are the lower stepped two edges. And they have outer and inner with lower and upper edges and bumps called bays. I'm trying to find a bay, but I'm not sure. I assume these these indentations are bays. And a vault with a bed for the nails. Okay, so this is the vault. Apologies. So this is where all the nails will go. Yeah, and according to the parts of the hoof wall and the horseshoe, there are front, so the toe part, which is known as the body, and the two side and rear heel parts. So the shape of the horseshoe should correspond to the outline of the step edge, so the outline of this, with some changes in the lateral and so the side parts and the heel parts. The thickness of the horseshoe depends on the breed and the purpose of the horse. So is it a workhorse, for example? So like for race horses, you use an 8 to 10 millimeter horseshoe. For harnesses, it's 10 to 12. I'll show you the numbers as well. So this is race horses, this is harnesses, 10 to 12. For horses that are very large, you use 12 to 15, so 8 to 10, 10 to 12, 12 to 15. So remember that for race horses, harnesses, and large breeds. Now on the upper hoofed surface, you have the step edge, and you have the white line and one strip from the edge of the step after you mount the horseshoe, after you put the horseshoe on. So the inner part of the surface is sort of inclined, so like this. So you can see there's an incline on this edge, and it occupies a third of its of the width of this. And this beveled part is called the horseshoe bump. Sorry if I'm not explaining this well. This is my first time too. So the lower stepped surface of the horseshoe is horizontal. So this part's horizontal, with each branch having like a deep draft deep from a half to 2/3 of the horseshoe, where there are holes that serve as a bed for the head of the nails. So their heads are here. And they are at the bottom of the draft, and at least there are 4 on each side, and their number varies sometimes, and the shape of the holes corresponds to the neck of the nails. So obviously these complement this, because obviously this is a different shoe type as well. Oh, and also this is for the hind limb, you can see, and this is for the forelimb. I just realized that. And yeah, for the front horseshoes, the holes are drilled into the front half of the horseshoe, and for the rear into the front 2/3 of each. And for horseshoes, for normal horseshoeing, which are permanent, you have permanent or replaceable stubs, and they're made at the ends of the heels, and when you place the horseshoe on the hoof, you have wedge holes that lie exactly on the outside of the white line. And I'm sorry if I'm not explaining this well, it's just this is my first time too. So there are different types of horseshoes that are used. You have the half moon horseshoe. This covers only the one part of the lateral parts of the step edges, and it's used when the front part of the hoof is rasped, so it means like filed down. So obviously the front part has to be thicker because the front of the hoof is actually smaller on the horse. These are smooth or slipper horseshoes. So its branches have a normal width and length, and it without studs. Then you have a horseshoe with studs. So these are the studs. They're kind of like heels. So here the edges of the branches are curved at right angles. At right angles downwards, and their height should be as much as the thickness of the horseshoe itself to make it all proportional, and the studs can be permanent and replaceable. So you can get rid of these with heating or just whacking them with a hammer. And then you have a closed horseshoe, so it actually goes all the way around. The edges of its branches are curved against each other and are soldered together in a transverse section on which the hoof surface of the horseshoe branch extends. So the closed horseshoe creates a wider support surface for the hoof, including the frog, so the frog would be here. And it's for normal and much more for orthopedic forging, so that's why you don't see it all the time. And horseshoes are handmade, factory made according to the way they are made. The factory settings are from 3 to 8. And yeah, we'll talk about horseshoe nails and I think horseshoe studs. Yeah, we'll see. I don't want to make these videos too long. So you have horseshoe nails. So these are used obviously to fix the horseshoe to the hoof. Obviously their production is also factory done. The nails consist of a head, you have a neck, and you have a body, and you have an apex with a diagonal section. So if you were to zoom in, you would see that it's very much, the apex is very much diagonal. It's not just round. And yeah, it's made on one of the wider surfaces of the nail. It's soldered on, and it gives it direction when it's driven into the wall of the hoof. And they are made in 7 different numbers, and they are for summer and winter shoeing, and this is sort of why we have different heads as well. So for the different seasons, you have horseshoe studs. So this is kind of, I'll try and get a picture. I think it's this part. So the heel part. So the replaceable studs are made of hard steel in a factory. They are taken precedence over permanent ones because they can be changed at any time without removing the horseshoe. So you could like keep all the nails here, but just remove the studs, which just gives some elevation in the heel. And it's based on the shape of their heads and the spikes. They can be square, prismatic, H-shaped, and more. And in the summer blunts, they're used. And in the winter, you have sharp pointed spikes that are used. And I think it's more for grip than anything else, especially for working horses. And yeah, I don't think I'll go into the tools now. I think we'll do that for the next video.